Tell me, how can we describe Mr. Donald Trump in one word? Unpredictable. What would be the global impact of him winning the election? His policies on trade sanctions, energy dynamics, taxation can trigger a lot of market sentiment. If Trump starts increasing the tariff, as he has promised, the global output would plunge by 7% in the long term. These sectors will see substantial growth and investment opportunities. India's IT services industry, which accounts for a significant portion of exposure to US, I feel that can face new regulatory hurdle. He doesn't want everybody or anybody to depend on China. What we have to expect is market volatility. This will always be there and this will increase, particularly affecting small and mid-cap stocks. So let's see now what is the impact on NRIs or non-resident Indians. These changes would particularly affect the young professionals who are looking to start their career in US. So if you are there in the critical skill shortage area, then probably it is easy to settle down in US. This could lead to more NRIs considering alternative destinations like Australia, Canada, or even some European countries for better stability and international career opportunities. Hello everyone, this is a very different topic than what I usually do. It's not a topic that is directly related to NRIs, but it can impact all NRIs. This is about the presidential election of world's largest economy, home to world's reserve currency, and how its leadership can define the economic policies worldwide. Yes, you guessed it right. This video is about the possibilities of the policy changes and its global impact of the recently elected president, Mr. Donald Trump. The US presidential election represents far more than an American election or political choice. It's a moment which can define many aspects of global business and economy. We have already seen when US adjusts the interest rate, trade stances, how the commodity or the currency prices change and even international investment flows to change. With Donald Trump winning this time, his policies on trade sanctions, energy dynamics, taxation can trigger a lot of market sentiment, reactions, and even economic order of the economies also. Let me tell you in the beginning itself, this video is going to be a really long video. I tried a lot to keep the information as crisp as I can, but trust me, all that you need to know is a nutshell. But the topic itself is multifaceted, and without this many details, the holistic analysis is not at all possible. So I had to do a long video. Please have patience and stay tuned till the end. If you're new to this channel, I'm CS Keerthana. I run the consultancy, a firm which is specialized in NRI services. Based in Dubai, we offer NRI investing, finance, tax, and FEMA services. If you are interested to avail any of the services, please feel free to book an appointment by visiting www.keerthisfinfo.com or contact this number that you can see on the screen through WhatsApp. Just to give background of my credentials, I have completed CS from India and CIMA strategic level from UK. I'm also a SEBI registered overseas MFT. Every week, I bring an explainer videos on various topics related to NRIs. So if you are looking for any of the tax, FEMA or investment related topics, please consider subscribing this channel. Now, I've already told that this video is long, so without wasting time, let's start. Tell me, how can we describe Mr. Donald Trump in one word? Unpredictable. I'm sure you're going to agree with me. If we have to add little more predictability, connecting the dots from his first term and the campaign speeches, so then it is pro-American, protectionist, and a shrewd businessman. So let's combine all of this and see what would be the global impact of him winning the election. Let's divide this into 5 points and also with a focus on Indian economy and NRIs at the end of the video. With the Trump winning, what will happen? First point is pro-business environment and protectionist policies. A second term presidency would likely to continue the dual approach of business-friendly domestic policies alongside protectionist international measures. The corporate tax environment, which had seen the rate cut in the earlier term to 21%, could become even more favorable for businesses in this term. Industries like manufacturing, financial services, energy could see significant growth opportunities through many favorable domestic policies, while simultaneously these businesses also may face challenges in the global operations. So the companies should do the supply chain strategies carefully in order to manage the risk, focusing focusing on domestic investment and reduced international expansion. Trump will give tax rate cut and support to those who will put more emphasis on local production and supply chain. So all the businesses and investors, this means carefully weighing the benefits of an attractive domestic business environment against potential implications of international trade restrictions. Strategic planning is required to account for both opportunities as well as challenges. I'll explain everything in detail later. Let's see the second point, energy sector transformation. In his first term, Trump had withdrawn from Paris Agreement on climate change. This was an agreement to limit or to keep the global temperature level below 2 degrees Celsius. Actually, Trump thinks when the second biggest polluter is China, which is doing nothing, why US alone should pay the cost for climate change initiatives? That's why, though Biden had rejoined, Trump had promised that he would pull back from the Paris Agreement if he is going to win this election. So he would expand and invest more in oil and gas, revive coal industry. His election campaign was centered around getting rid of clean energy regulations and maximizing US power output and fuel output. He strongly feels that energy is the major contributor in pushing up the inflation. So returning to the fossil fuel dominance is the solution for achieving efficiency, energy dominance and controlling the cost than increasing unnecessary cost, dreaming of some strategic futuristic initiatives. Because US has the highest oil reserve now, fair enough, do what is possible now. So approve more and more of petroleum reserve, leases, drilling permits and ensure energy security. He always said renewable energy is unreliable and costly. I would say these are short-sighted because in the initial stage, it looks expensive, but if you look at the depletion of the reserve of the fossil fuel, then it is much needed initiative. And he also mentions in one of the speeches that he's against electric car because all of that is anti-American and pro-China, which is not true. So what we should expect here is a strong focus on fossil fuels, and this sector could see significant growth in foreign investment opportunities. Companies involved in oil, natural gases and energy infrastructure development might find particularly favorable conditions for all their investment and expansion plans. This could extend to related technologies and the services and create ripple effect across the energy supply chain. The emphasis on domestic energy production could lead to increased investment in extraction technologies as well as infrastructure development and related services. And even the foreign companies who have or who are possessing necessary expertise in these areas might find significant opportunities to enter and expand in US market. And trust me, it is not easy for all the companies, except which he wants. Third one is defense and aerospace industry growth. Trump always believes in aggressive style or threatening the enemies by flexing the muscle of military might. That's why in his first term, the military spending had gone up to $723 billion, which had actually ballooned the national debt also. Trump actually believes that rivals like China and Russia are cheating on the arms control agreements. So he doesn't care for any of this. This belief makes him to withdraw himself from major arms control agreements. Whoever is aspiring to be the global power will find a place in Trump's defense policy as a threat. You would have seen how much he had positioned against China in his previous term. He also views European allies as burdensome, just adding cost with no funding on the military forces. That's why in one of the campaign speech he says that he will force NATO allies to spend 2 to 3% of GDP on defense budget alone. What is interesting here is 3% is not for me. 3% is for 3 of us. That's what he is making a point. Trump wants to hit 2.9% increase in the military budget by 2029. But the last decade average growth was 0.9 to 1%, which is not enough to retain America's world's position as a dominant power. That's what is the logic behind this target, which is given to NATO allies by Trump. He doesn't want to help any other country to fight their battle or increase the military cost. So he might consider scaling back the military assistance which is given to Ukraine. But in Persian Gulf, what will happen, I don't know, because US always has a close ties, even cultural ties with Israel. What is going to happen or what will be America's stand on Israel and Iran conflict, which is going on now, we definitely cannot predict as of now. So, as an investor, what would be the take? Given Trump's emphasis on national security, the defense and aerospace sectors, these sectors will see substantial growth and investment opportunities. This could create particularly a favorable environment for the foreign companies with specialized capabilities in these sectors. Companies in defense technology, aerospace manufacturing and related industrial areas or sectors might find increased opportunities and contracts and partnerships. This could also extend to the areas like advanced materials, cybersecurity, specialized equipment manufacturing, etc. So this focus on strengthening national security will lead to increased defense spending and investment in the military technology modernization. This could create opportunities not for the direct defense contractors but also for the companies in the supply chain and all the supporting industries. So keep an eye on these sectors. These sectors might benefit a lot from streamlined regulatory processes and increased funding, making them very attractive for both foreign as well as domestic investment. Fourth point is manufacturing reshoring initiative and global supply chain restructuring for companies. It's little complicated. Let me explain in detail. Trump's America First agenda can drive a significant push towards reshoring manufacturing operations. This could create both opportunities and challenges for the foreign companies who are looking to maintain or expand their base or presence in US market. Industries like heavy machinery, automotive parts or steel, they can see increased investment as policies may favor their domestic production. Foreign companies might need to consider a lot of factors, establishing or expansion in US-based manufacturing operations in order to maintain their marketing access, or how are they going to plan the whole supply chain management, everything. Only companies that are going to align with these goals by establishing the domestic production facilities can find themselves in well positioned to benefit from both policy support as well as the market access and even the tax rate cut which is promising. Let me give an example to support this. Trump had assessed in his previous term how ambitious China is and how it is trying to control the whole supply chain management of the chip industry. And he knew how critical and strategic importance this semiconductor whole ecosystem is. So he made TSMC to build a plant in Arizona. What he doesn't understand here is, though it was a good move for America, but now TSMC is facing a lot of issues in terms of labor shortage, skill shortage. It is literally struggling to fast track the visas of Taiwanese workers. So these are all the aspects that he needs to take care of. So for the businesses, global supply chain restructuring is absolutely critical in his term. Perhaps it is the most important long-term impact that would be on the global supply chain, with Trump's policies potentially accelerating the trend towards supply chain regionalization. So these steps he had already started taking in the first term. This also can improve developing more localized supply network and finding alternative sourcing strategies to mitigate all kind of tariff impact also. Industries like electronics, automotive manufacturing, consumer goods might face a lot of challenges, I would say, in adapting to these challenges. This could lead to increased investment in the automation and advanced manufacturing technologies to offset higher domestic production costs. Companies at some point have to have a solid risk management system as how to navigate the political risk also, right? So the restructuring of the global supply chain can create opportunity for new regional trade partnership, or they can leverage the use of technology. So alternative supply chain network configuration can happen. They can benefit the countries which are aligning with the US strategic interest. So it is lot more work, strategic redirection for all the companies that are operating in the sector that I have mentioned. Fifth is macroeconomic impact. See, during the first term itself, we had noticed that Mr. Donald Trump had started waging trade war against China and other countries also. But we all know, right, what Newton had said, for every action there is a reaction. Even other countries, they will not sit quiet. They were retaliating with their own measures. So not only emerging economies or major portion of the global trade will suffer if this is to continue, US export also will suffer. It has suffered in the previous term. He already started talking about 10 to 20% tariff on all the goods entering to US, and particularly on Chinese it is as high as 60%. You can see how much he is obsessed with tariff here. He says the most beautiful word for him is only tariff. Look at this video.
The word tariff is the most beautiful word in the dictionary.
Now, it might have helped him to win the votes, but what will happen to the American businesses who are actually depending upon the inputs or raw materials that are imported? What about the US export, which will shrink if their market vanishes? What about the people who are already taking pinch of inflation and higher input cost? This might take everything away from their saving. Is US in a position to afford another level of inflation spike because of all these protectionist measures? As of now, no answer. When we are talking about inflation, let me emphasize on this point also. Even Trump loves to see Fed as toothless snake, taking away all of their power. I personally feel that even the recent Fed rate cut of 50 basis points, that is politically motivated. And Fed had to do it to retain its relevance because Trump always questions it. I feel Fed brings an economic narrative when it is politically feasible. At this high level of debt, Fed struggled to manage inflation. Suddenly before the presidential election, it is cutting down the rate. Because Trump kept saying, I understand monetary policy better than Fed. Even in 2019, he goes to tweet, who is our enemy? Jay Powell or Chairman Z? So this just shows how much he loves to threaten everybody, including those who are in the regulatory authorities of US market. What is my point of concern here is, if Fed is not having independence to manage the employment and inflation level, it will just make the public debt inflation and the current deficit to worsen. Let me tell you, in his first term, the national debt in America, it had gone up by 7.8 trillion US dollar. So before damaging others, US is going to shoot at its own leg that it cannot run, it cannot walk, it is going to limp in the medium to long run. Trump has this kind of attitude, that is winner takes it all. He thinks US can function in isolation because it's global power, and he completely misses the point that world is interconnected, and whoever has overlooked this fact, he had paid the price. In fact, heavy price. IMF had already predicted that if Trump starts increasing the tariff as he has promised, the global output would plunge by 7% in the long term. Even UBS had estimated in its study that 1% growth cut globally, 6% decline in Chinese, European and other emerging markets. China is just hoping to overcome its real estate bubble and high inflation by a series of economic stimulus. Europe had narrowly escaped the recession and energy crisis after Russia-Ukraine war. Who can escape from another round of trade war implications? Trust me, nobody is going to come out unscathed. The next point is impact on Indian economy. As I've mentioned, we are going to touch upon NRIs as well as Indian economy at the end. Let's see what will happen from trade and tariff angle. Mr. Trump's previous presidency was marked by an aggressive America First trade policy, and similar approach could emerge now. During his first term, Trump frequently criticized India's trade practices, labeling us as tariff king due to the protective importive duties. This stance could lead to increased trade tension between two nations. The impact would likely to be most pronounced in key export sectors. India's IT services industry, which accounts for a significant portion of exposure to US, I feel that can face new regulatory hurdle and increased cost of doing business. Manufacturing exports, particularly in sectors like textile, automotive components and pharmaceuticals, might also face higher tariff, potentially making Indian goods less competitive in US market. But wait, not everything is negative. There is a positive aspect also. However, this can present an opportunity also. Indian companies might accelerate their efforts to diversify export market, focusing more on Europe, Japan and other economies. Additionally, as seen during his first term, bilateral negotiations could lead to some strategic compromises that balances both of the nations' interests. An important factor to consider here is evolving global trade landscape. Despite potential trade tension, the strategic partnership between India and US in countering China's ambition and influence could lead to selective trade benefit in certain sectors. This geopolitical dimension is very useful, and it might result in most nuanced approach towards trade policies, potentially creating lot of opportunities in strategic sectors like technology, defense and critical mineral, etc. Because US needs India, and definitely US is going to prefer India over China. And the next point here is manufacturing and supply chain dynamics. See, one potentially positive outcome of Trump's tough stance on China is accelerated global supply chain diversification. He doesn't want everybody or anybody to depend on China. Many multinational companies are already looking to reduce their dependence on Chinese manufacturing. And who is a potential alternative? India. India stands to benefit from this China plus one strategy. This country's large workforce and India's improving infrastructure, government's initiative like Make in India, they all fit in this and they make it as a very attractive alternative. India's domestic manufacturing sector can see significant growth because of this. The government's emphasis on self-reliance or Atmanirbhar Bharat initiative combined with foreign companies seeking an alternative manufacturing basis. So what they want and what India wants had become ultimately same. This could lead to an increased foreign direct investment. So sectors like pharmaceuticals, electronics, automotive components might particularly benefit also from this shift. So not everything is bad here. The push for domestic manufacturing could also strengthen India's position in global supply chain. As companies are forced to or they seek to build more resilient supply network, India's role as a manufacturing hub could expand. Because if you don't want China, then you should be turning towards India. Potentially, this can offset negative impact that had increased from US tariff. A crucial development to watch would be implementation of production linked initiative or PLI schemes alongside potential US trade policies. These domestic initiatives combined with international companies who are looking to diversify their manufacturing base, it can create perfect storm for India's manufacturing sector to achieve significant scale and technological advancement, particularly in the sectors like think semiconductors. Government is also having a lot of ambition here and it is giving huge push to this, electric vehicles and renewable energy equipment. So this theme might expand. The defense and energy sectors are also another potential areas where we have to keep a close watch. These could see enhanced cooperation regardless of the trade tensions. You don't have to bother about this because Trump's previous term saw increased defense collaboration between India and US, and this trend might continue given shared strategic interest, particularly against anti-China. This will work. The energy sector could benefit from American investment and technology transfer, especially in the areas like nuclear power, renewable energy, etc. However, what we have to expect is market volatility. This will always be there and this will increase, particularly affecting small and mid-cap stocks. Indian mid and small cap space is already expensive. It is saturated, oversaturated. I think during this Trump term, if you are a small and mid-cap investor, you have to take a lot of care and prepare for the period of increased market turbulence. There will be a lot of corrections. Domestic focused companies might emerge as safer bets compared to the export-oriented firms. Companies serving India's internal market, particularly sectors like consumer goods or infrastructure, digital services, these can provide more stable return as they are less exposed to this kind of international trade tensions. So if you want your money in a stable place, then you have to be turning towards these sectors. The evolving landscape might also create new opportunities in emerging sectors. Areas like green technology, digital infrastructure and specialized manufacturing could see increased investment interest, particularly if India positions itself as a reliable alternative to China. This could lead to emergence of new market leaders and investment themes, potentially reshaping everything in Indian equity market. So let's see now what is the impact on NRIs or non-resident Indians. Obviously, you guessed it right, it is visa and immigration policies. The most direct impact on NRIs would likely to come from the changes in visa and immigration policies. Trump's previous term, it had seen significant restrictions on H-1B visas, which are heavily utilizing Indian technology professionals or IT professionals. So in the second term, Trump might take even stricter regulations, potentially affecting both new visa applications as well as renewals. More stringent visa policies could include higher minimum salary requirement or stricter qualification criteria, longer processing time, etc. These are all where you can deter or you can delay the process. These changes would particularly affect the young professionals who are looking to start their career in US and influence the career planning for those students who are currently studying in American universities. This situation might necessitate a strategic shift in how Indian professionals approach international careers. This could include focusing on specialized skill in high demand areas like artificial intelligence or AI, cybersecurity, quantum computing, where visa approval might remain more accessible because these are critical skill which is not easy to get. So if you are there in the critical skill shortage area, then probably it is easy to settle down in US. An additional consideration would be the impact of families and the long-term settlement plans. Stricter immigration policies might affect the family reunification processes, green card applications, and overall stability of NRI communities in US. This could lead to more NRIs considering alternative destinations like Australia, Canada, or even some European countries for better stability and international career opportunities. Next point, what you have to be considering here is corporate adaptation and employment landscape. Indian IT companies have been proactively adapting to potential visa restrictions by increasing the local hiring in US. So this trend is likely to accelerate, leading to more diversified workforce strategy. Companies are also investing in nearshore delivery centers and automation technologies in order to reduce the dependence on this kind of traditional staffing models. So this helps them to manage the risk also. These adaptations or strategies could create new opportunities for NRIs who are already in US, as companies might prefer to retain experienced staff familiar with both the markets. However, it could also mean that more competition from the local hires and potentially there might be slower career progression if you are a new entrant. The transformation of employment landscape might lead to new hybrid roles that combine technical expertise with cultural and business understanding of both the market. This could create unique opportunities for NRIs who can effectively bridge the gap between US and Indian business practices. Look, what and all skills all of a sudden become relevant, right? So this can potentially lead to more and more strategic and management positions. The evolving business model, this might also see the emergence of new entrepreneurial opportunities. As companies start adapting to newer visa regulations, changing a regulatory landscape, there could be increased demand for Indian-owned businesses in US that can facilitate this trade, technology transfer, and even the cultural exchange between these two countries, creating a lot of new avenues for NRI business leaders and entrepreneurs. Another more important aspect to consider is remote work and business operations. See, in the post-pandemic era, the normalization of remote work had happened. So this could help in mitigating a lot of visa-related challenges. Indian professionals might find themselves in a position having a lot of opportunities to work for US-based companies while remaining based in India itself, which will lead to new model of international collaboration. So not everything is bad. There are a lot of positive aspects. This shift could foster the innovation in how global teams operate and how potentially they can create new categories of employment that are not depending on the traditional visa programs. So, however, it might also mean that adjusting to different compensation structures and the working arrangement, etc. So, looking ahead, the remote work trend could evolve furthermore, maybe into some sophisticated model of international professional engagement. This might include the development of specialized technology hubs in India that serve only US market, and this might create a lot of opportunities for NRIs to maintain connection with both countries and who can build innovative business models that transcends the traditional employment structure. So where there is a challenge, there is an opportunity. Not to ignore is the concept of digital nomad. The emergence of digital nomad visas and other alternative work arrangement in various countries can also provide NRIs with a lot of flexibilities in how they structure their international career. This can lead to dynamic career path that combines a period of work in different countries, remote collaboration as well as entrepreneurial ventures. So whether it is for the businesses or entrepreneurs or as an investor, there are a lot of negatives, there are a lot of positives, there are a lot of areas that you have to keep a close watch upon during his term. What are your views on the second term of Trump and its implication on various aspects that I've discussed? Whether it is on the financial market or economies or businesses, entrepreneurs, as an investor, as an employee. I am eager to know your views. Please feel free to share your views or opinions in the comment section. I hope in this video I could bring you a new dimension or perspective on this topic, which is much needed for all NRIs. See you next week with another interesting video. Till then, bye-bye.